All right, Ben. Thanks for kicking off some of the basics of Crowdcast. Appreciate it. So welcome to Misty Uplink #1. So this is kind of an exciting time now that we've got some real robots with us. We're going to be doing these events every other week, unless it's a holiday or no, we're going to be doing them every week.
Every week, yeah, or more.
So I'm Chris Meyer. I'm the head of developer experience here at Misty Robotics. I'm joined in our beautiful Boulder, Colorado office by Justin Wu.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
And we've got Ben remote joining us from the great state of Washington. Ben's our head of engagement. So we're the primary point of contact for everything involving Misty, from developer evangelism, sample skills, support, and everything like that. So what we want to do with these events is to give you a chance to engage with us directly. We can answer your questions. We can show what's been happening at Misty, and then just talk about robots and the things that are happening in the industry. So as Ben had mentioned before, if you have any questions, there's a little link down at the bottom of your screen that says ask a question. It will leave about 10-15 minutes to answer any questions that you have towards the end, or if we notice it when we're going in line, that we can address those then. Anything you guys want to talk about up front before we kind of roll into the content that we've got? Just throw it in there. So the most exciting piece of news that we have is that we are shipping. As you can see by Justin's shirt.
I can see.
Hey, Misty is real. It's shipping. We are producing robots at the breakneck speed as fast as we can. So those of you that are backers, and I know that some of you are in there, you'll be getting them soon. You'll see a notification from us when those things are available, and they'll just be going through the 500 or so people that have robots on their way.
Yeah.
So
what part of the way through are we?
What part of the way through? We've shipped, I think, 60 robots.
82, and we are shipping another 75 this week, and so hopefully we can continue that clip.
Cool. Ben is the holder of the most recent information, so if you're curious about where you are in the queue, ask him. So yes, shipping, things are going great. For those of you that are still on the fence, this is a great time to get in line while we still offer our discount on Misty 2. So our backfill is just going to grow over time. So this is an excellent opportunity to get in, start engaging with us. If you order today, what are we going to do? We're gonna send some stickers and some fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So we wanted to just take a moment and kind of talk about the things that have been new since we've done. I think during our field trials we used to do town halls, and we've done a significant amount of work since we were doing those previous videos. Most significant of which, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and talk about our command center and our SDK, which is live, and you can continue to play with it today. Sharing my screen. Can everybody see it? Yeah, you got to highlight it there. There we go. Cool. So we've been putting a lot of work into our SDK. Now, when you log on and look at this for the first time, you're going to see 3 distinct sections. You're going to see Explore, which consists of our command center, API Explorer, and our documentation. And then Build, which has our skill runner. And we're going to talk about these here in a moment. And then Share, which is the place where we want and encourage people to participate in our community forums and sharing any skills that they have today. But I wanted to just quickly walk through some of the updates that we've done with the command center over the last few weeks, last few months, depending on when we've had the last time that you engaged with the website here. Biggest is the redesign. For those of you that are familiar, that we had it was a little different, but we've made all the movement, the neck controls, and everything a lot easier to interact with. If you wanted to go and do something as simple as set the yaw, you can see that we have the toast messages here. And then in the console, you can see the actual positions that are going across.
Mhm.
Actually, so forgive me. In the network tab, you can see what the API call is directly being sent to Misty, and then the payload. So this is the best way that we find to be able to quickly flesh out the interactions that you're looking for with your robot. So if you want to know what the endpoints or the extremes of movement, you can see those reflected in the payload here. Same thing with drive, relative speed, and those types of movement commands. You can very quickly look at what those endpoints are, and then in your skill, be able to make use of those. So I'm going to go ahead and close the console and just quickly run through some of the other elements that we've added. The asset management is still there. You can drag and drop different files, see a list of the assets that you have displayed on the robot. Same thing with audio. We've also added the ability to download the files from the robot. And you can see that it downloads it onto my local machine. We can play it in the browser and do everything that we would expect from a command center-like tool. The more interesting thing is that we've moved the navigation pipeline. Sorry, I'm still in perception here. We've updated all the things so you can see there's the view from Misty's perspective. You can get the wide angle assets, which can take a moment. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. That downloaded the file directly. There we go. There's the wide angle. We have our bright, blinding light that we're behind right now.
Okay.
But here's the thing that most people are interested in, the navigation section. So this is what you're going to use to kind of understand and view the depth map. But the most interesting is the navigation module. So this is fresh. We took all of the individual commands that you are probably going to need to interact with a map and then put them all into a single place. So because I am running a skill, let me cancel that skill real quick. I'm going to go back to SDK. I'm going to run into skill runner and click stop all. Oops, let me connect to the robot first. So I had a skill run in to have Misty kind of look around.
Chris, let's have a
What's up?
10.0.
Oh, that's fine. Easy peasy. So I just stopped all the skills. So I want to show you guys what it actually looks like to utilize tracking and mapping with the Misty robot. So I'm going to flip Misty around here so she has something more interesting to look at. I'm going to click Start Mapping, and it'll try to get pose, and here we go. So pose is the robot's way of knowing where she is in space.
Mhm.
And then as the robot starts to build a map, you'll see the map updated over on this pane on the right. So this is going to be really, really nice to start to understand where the robot's sensory capabilities lie,
Right.
what it actually views, and what you can do with it. So as I slowly rotate Misty around on the desk here, you can see pitch, roll, and yaw are changing. And if I translate the robot, right now it's on a block because we don't want to drive it off a table. You can see that the Y coordinate is moving. And so this is pretty cool. We're excited to see what you guys do with it and what your environment kind of leads you to create.
Just released yesterday, in fact.
That's right.
Yeah, Chris, is there no affordance yet for zooming in on that map? I know that was in the design.
That is a good question. To be honest,
Try right-clicking on it or something. I don't know.
So if I do get map, I think it recenters it. So this is part of the reason why we do this, and we want to have these uplink series, is because we want your feedback on the things that are irksome, that don't work the way that you expect them to, and really anything that we can do at Misty to make robotics and Misty in particular better. So zooming in on the map is on the list.
Yeah. So normally I think we'll answer questions later on, but Michael has a really relevant question. What's that built in? And I think he's referring to that mapping section, mapping area.
Well, first, Wu, should we say that, like, you know, Michael's got a keen interest in this because he's also built something with our command center and has been doing some mapping?
Yes, yeah, I wanted to, yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, Michael's actually a developer who's built a cool map, and I think he's going to share more on the community forum using the time of flight sensors. And he's used, he actually used the gaming engine to build that. So
yeah, so what we can do is we can, you can pull up the kind of the quick demonstration of what we're talking about here. Yeah. I'll run through the rest of the tool set, and then we'll come back to some of the demonstration stuff here in a moment.
Okay.
We didn't actually answer him, though, if it was built in HTML5 or not. I don't actually know.
That is a really good question. I don't know what the rendering component of, I think it's just a canvas element.
I think so.
Yeah, so that is a really neat area of our SDK that we're hopeful for everybody to look at, give us some feedback. I didn't really have too much other than some of the sensor data. I wanted to call out the ability to kind of see and stream things like the time of flight. I know, is Scott C in here?
Check here.
There's a fun little element that I wanted to show on the time of flights. Now, our sensors that are on the front of Misty, and because I'm on the screen here, you can't really see it, just, you know, down up front, they actually capture an array of depth measurements and then average that into the value that you see when you subscribe for these time of flight values. Now, this can be a little confusing because if I go in and subscribe to the time of flights directly, I'm going to show you how to do this here. This is our advanced options. I just subscribed to the time of flights, but I'm going to go and look at these. There is a status field that comes through, and there's a number of statuses, and these give you the indication of how that value, how reliable that value actually is. So I know that a status code 102 is in the documentation, and that means that Misty is seeing more of a ground plane than anything specific in the distance. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to call this out for anybody that's looking to work or working with time of flights today, that looking at those status codes will give you a better and more robust picture of how Misty is actually viewing the world. So what I just showed was the subscription to the raw time of flight data. And for anybody that has questions on how to do that, be sure to reach out in the community forums. We can give you some more specific information. But this is just a quick taste of everything that we've been working on over the last few months within the SDK itself.
Just another reminder, Chris is making a lot of use of the JavaScript console in Chrome. If you haven't done that with a robot, you'll want to do that because it gives you a lot more information than what you can get just from the screen. And it might not be apparent that that's a thing that you should do because, you know, normally you look at that for things that are happening in the website, not on a robot. But
yeah, and for context, the SDK opens up a WebSocket to your robot to stream this information back to the web page itself. So this is kind of, we just leverage the console as a convenient way to surface a lot of this information. So anything that is sensor related or has like a high amount of updates will go through the console and will give you a lot more information than you'd be able to find in any of those pop-up messages. Mm-hmm. Again, any questions, please post those and we'll answer those in line.
I don't know whether it's relevant. There's a question about, is there a doc that covers mapping versus recording versus tracking?
Yes, and well, this is a good time as any. So that's the command center. The API Explorer, I'm going to go through two things and then we'll go through the docs and where you can find that information.
Okay.
So API Explorer is another place that we've kind of made a few updates. What this is intended to show when you're connected to your robot is what the endpoints actually look like. So we give you kind of the ability to plug this into just any web page and interact with Misty. So you can copy the request directly. You can change the parameters and send the request. And then you can even look at the JSON response all in line in the tool itself. So please poke at it. Let us know what you think. It's super convenient to understand how those handshakes look. for, in practice
Yep.
instead of just in documentation. The last one that I'm going to go to before we start hitting the docs and answering your question there about the status codes and start tracking
Yep.
Is our skill runner. So what skill runner is intended to do is make the writing and starting, stopping, and debugging of your JavaScript code a lot easier. So you have the ability to drag and drop skills directly to the robot through this little box here. You can generate new meta files, which is required for any new skill that you create. And then you can start, stop, or delete skills through this manage area. So I wanted to show a quick conversation skill. You'll see that it starts, it's running. With any debug messages is going to go through the console. To open that up, it's really straightforward. You just right-click, inspect, and then you'll see all of the debug messages that are written in your code. So, hey, Misty. Hey, Misty. Oh, man. Is it loud in here? I don't think so. It is running. Hey, Misty.
Hey, Misty.
Live demos. We'll try a different one here. So I'm going to start So Hello World is one of our basic missions that will open up Misty, change her LEDs, and have her look and roam around.
I'm going to focus our screen so people can see Misty moving around.
Yeah. So all this is doing is just setting a few events to move Misty's arm and head around in random areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a common experience, but I can only see just like a 20% of Misty. So.
Move it over. We'll put her front and center here. Oh, there we go. How's that? So there you go. One of the basic skills. Now, to answer the original question, docs.mistyrobotics.com is the end-all be-all for everything that you want or need to know about programming Misty, interacting with Misty, status codes, and everything else. The question about tracking and the different events that go in with, what was the exact question, Wu?
Is there a doc that kind of covers, and this is from Mark, that kind of covers the mapping versus recording versus tracking and what they are for? And I think he's referring to the mapping itself, which is something that, yeah, Mark, maybe we'll look into. And we've just recently put that user interface up.
So we do have the area in the REST. If you're using the REST APIs, we've broken out the documentation into the JavaScript APIs and REST APIs. So if you're using or wanting to use things like WebSockets or Postman to send commands or any of those types of tools, you're going to want to use the REST API documentation. Now, if you want to use your on-robot JavaScript APIs, obviously the JavaScript API section, which I think I'm still sharing my screen, you can see up here. But as far as the differences between tracking, start tracking, stop tracking, you can see in, looks like we don't have that up at the moment. So yes, there is a documentation place. I'm not entirely sure where it is at the moment, but we'll go ahead and update. We'll comment when we do that.
Find that out. Yeah.
But please peruse and look at all the things that we've kind of created here. We've got some basics on how to get started building your first skill, best practices around data handling and callbacks and those types of things. So everything's in here. We even have the Hello World tutorial series, which features the code that's running here on Misty right now, that you can walk through and get a basic understanding of how to get started programming in JavaScript in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So the next item that I wanted to discuss is our training missions. So our community forums is where we're going to be updating everybody on all the latest things that we are providing in terms of sample code, things that we're working on, and tutorial series that will help you get further along with programming your own robot. So if you log in to community.mistyrobotics.com, you'll see that we have a category called missions. Ben has an awesome post on kind of what the point of this is. we have two categories. We have training missions, which is essentially a tutorial that you can use to get started and start to flesh out new types of functionality that we offer on the platform. And then more competitive challenges where you can start to challenge your own interactions with Misty to solve problems. And we'll be giving a number of prizes and rewards and badges out as we start to flesh those out and have more and more. So the first mission is obviously sharing your own version of the hello world, how you make Misty move and speak and interact with the environment. We can't wait to see how you guys tackle that based on some of the sample code that we've already provided there. Cool. Any questions, Whoop?
Well, Mark has a good question about he would love a training mission for the tracking, mapping, if one isn't already planned. And Mark, we do have, and Justin too, we do have something planned there, which we will share shortly. Again, these training missions are every 2 weeks or so, and every week, I apologize. And yeah, thanks. We'll keep that in consideration when we
have a tracking mapping mission in the chamber, but we felt like it was too painful to have you guys do that yet, because mapping needs to improve a bit. But if you guys are gluttons for punishment, maybe we release that sooner rather than later. But I can tell you, basically, spoiler alert, the next mission is going to be about third-party APIs.
Yep, thanks, Ben.
Cool. Ben, I just noticed you're wearing your Smart Things shirt. Yeah, nice. So another thing that we have been working on is we do a lot of our coding in Visual Studio Code. The linters that in JavaScript that makes it really easy to make sure that the code that you're deploying works. But I'm going to share my screen here and show you our new Visual Studio extension. So it's now public on the extension store. So you should be able to see. There you go. Cool. So here I am in my Visual Studio environment. I've got the conversation skill that one of our dear friends, Cameron, built for us, or for the community that I've been kind of playing with. But if you go into your extensions area and search for Misty, I'll show this here. Misty JavaScript. So all you need to do is just click install. It'll load the extension, and then this will enable you to do some really fun stuff in that you don't have to interact with the drag and drop interface in Skill Runner if you don't want to. Makes iteration a lot faster. So all you have to do is click Command-Shift-P if you're on a Mac. I think it's Control-Shift-P if you're on a Windows device.
Yep.
And then do upload and run. It'll save your IP address, and so as you're iterating on your skill, you can quickly throw it up on the robot and see how it interacts.
Yeah.
So this makes development a lot faster.
I think the shortcut is actually when you in the command itself.
What's that?
The shortcut to where it's Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P. There you go. You Misty upload.
Yeah. So if you just type in Misty, you can see all the. You can validate a directory. You can stop skills. You can upload and run. You know, some of the basics. And we're going to continue to iterate on this particular extension just because it really does make programming the robot easier.
It does require you to download Visual Studio Code, of course, but it's well worth it. And Philip has said, yes, the Visual Studio Code extension is very useful. It worked great. Thanks, Philip. Really appreciate that feedback a lot.
Cool. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I don't have anything to do. There we go. Sweet. Let's see. Next up. Well, I guess it's not really next up. For any current Misty owners, we published a release yesterday. So this is why some of this stuff is so fresh. I think in the last release, the navigation area is brand new. We did an update for the depth sensor, the occipital sensor, that should make tracking and mapping and everything else a lot more stable. Again, this is still early days for us, and you can continue to expect improvements over time. But it's up to all of us together to start to flesh those things out where we need to focus our energies.
You know, related to that, William had a question which Ben already answered. how frequently are you planning to update Misty and its app? Ben answered it, but I'm going to reiterate, we're planning to update it every 2 weeks. And we always put release notes in our community forum on what's in that release. Okay, thanks for asking that.
Yeah, and then Ben, thank you so much for pushing that in there. We will post all of our releases, all the release notes into the forums with that link that Ben had posted there. So this is an excellent segue. We personally are very collaborative, and we want to engage with you directly. And we do that, the easiest way for us to do that is through the community site itself.
Yep.
So community.mistyrobotics.com. We're in there all the time. I'm posting random stuff about Boston Dynamics and some of the other players in the industry, and thinking about how we need to understand what it means to have a robot in our own offices and workplaces, and putting up some challenges on, like, hey, using processing as a way to build visualization tools.
Yep.
But we really want your voice there. So go ahead. Go to community.mistyrobotics.com, join us, and just kind of keep talking to us.
Yeah.
So if you do that, let us know that you joined because of Uplink, and we'll send you some stickers. Then the last order of business before we kind of open it up to QA and general questions is where we're going to be. We're going to be more involved in different communities. So we're going to be in Austin Developer Week, coming up here in November. We're going to have a special backers happy hour while we're there. So again, watch the forums for where and when that's going to happen. So if you're in the Austin area, you can come join us, come hang out.
Yeah. Post in the, if you want free tickets, we're able to give out some tickets to people. Post in the forum that you want to join and attend, and we'll send you a code. Yeah.
So to elevate that, I think how much are tickets to Developer Week? They're kind of expensive.
$300 to $1,000 over dollars.
Yeah.
Depends
on
the range.
Because we want our community to be there with us, let us know. We'll send you. I think we have a few tickets to give away.
Yeah.
Cool. Our next uplink is going to be October 9th. So put it in your calendars. I think we're going to stick with the 6 p.m. schedule. So
6 p.m. Mountain time.
6 p.m. Mountain. Sorry. Yeah. So this is Wednesdays at 6 p.m. every other week. You can expect us, except for on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Correct.
But that's kind of all the content we want to, let us know what you want to see next. I think our next uplink, we're going to have a more detailed walkthrough of some skills and just be able to answer any sort of development questions. But if there's broader categories, feel free to let us know, and we'll kind of program that in.
Yeah. So
So I'm going to go. What's that?
We have a couple of questions on our questions and answers here. First one's by Mark. Any chance of expanding the APIs to recognize objects or pets rather than faces? And to be honest, he's not tried doing face recognition of a dog. And I have dogs. I would love that to happen too. Definitely something to put on our roadmap. And in our community forum, that's definitely a well-requested request in our APIs that we want to make time and prioritize for. So thanks, Mark. We do not.
Yeah, let me jump in on that too. I do think we expect people to sort of, just like natural language processing, we expect people to use their own object recognition, databases, algorithms, and sort of like we could see how that works. But I could see a future where, yes, Misty has its preferred object recognition data that it can like hit and utilize. But I don't know. I just feel like so much of that's going to be web-based versus like on the robot. But yeah, it's a good question. I expect a lot of activity around object recognition in the next year.
Yeah.
And lastly, to pair it off that, like we say that utilize external services, and what we mean is, like, if you wanted to use Microsoft's cognitive services, IBM Watson, Amazon's Vision, I don't know what their branding is for their Vision engine, but we can use the camera and video capture capabilities to then send off to those services for processing. We have a developer that's using Google Cloud services to be able to do sentiment analysis off of a face, if they're happy or sad or whatever, and then have Misty react accordingly. So, those are some of the options, and I know that there are services that do dog recognition, but at this stage, it's not local, it's not on board, it is dependent on, those third-party services.
Yeah, but thanks, Mark, for asking that.
Yeah.
The next question here, I'm just going to go in order of those that are upvoted. So Michael asked the question, what's your current near-term roadmap for Misty in terms of development and the SDK, as well as for your next system updates? I think the biggest thing that we're going to do for our next updates are a lot of bug fixes. You guys have reported a few issues that we've looked into and are fixing. Anything?
Yeah. So our near-term roadmap is, and Ben, please chime in if you want to add something here. Is really about getting mapping in a really great state. Yep. Solving any sort of these meager bugs that come up and make the platform very robust. And then we're going to start introducing features after we have kind of the platform in a really stable state. Ben,
yeah, you can look. We're in the process of taking the wish list and the roadmap and getting them into the community forums. That should be up in like a week or so's time. But you can also look at the Misty website, and I can try to find it and post it into here, shortly. But before I do, the SDK that we're working on next is that .NET C# SDK. To follow up, there's another question about Python. Python has been identified as our third official SDK that we'd like to support. And so I don't know what the time frame of that is, but that's kind of the progression. And I don't know that we'll even have any after that. It's your JavaScript, your .NET, and your Python. Between those three, we should be able to satisfy, at least everyone partially. So that might be it as far as official SDKs. But then, yeah, like these guys are exactly right. We want to make sure that we have the capabilities in place that enable you guys to do amazing things. We know that there's some mapping and autonomy that needs to get improved so that Misty can go and charge herself when she gets low on batteries, etc. So those are the things we've prioritized from an engineering perspective. But there'll always be people working on the tools. We're always looking to improve the tools and to make it better and easier for you guys.
Cool. Great.
Thanks, Ben.
There's another question here. I think Ben already answered it, but we'll reiterate it. Justin said, I saw the Python wrappers for the Misty API. Any idea when the official Python API will be released? I think Ben just talked about it again. We're looking at it after .NET, but we can't really make any promises until when we might release that official Python API.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, we do have a wrapper that makes it easier if you want to, put the logic on an external machine. We know that it's high demand, and so it's on there.
Also, keep a lookout. There is a number of like branches, or people have like forked that wrapper and done some work, and so we can probably find links to those too. But like, check out some of the other work that's been done on that wrapper, because people are definitely interested in that Python wrapper. But it's an unsupported thing at this time, so it's community supported.
Yeah, and Philip even offered right now. He said, I think he can help on the Python API. Yes, feel free to contribute and branch even off that repo. We encourage it a lot.
Yeah, and let us know when you tackle it, so that way we can clear any roadblocks that you might encounter.
If our issues on the repo, we definitely check that.
Yeah.
So Jim asked, is there any plan for Huntsville? And I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. Huntsville, Alabama.
Not at the moment.
No, but I'm glad you suggested that. So please, if you can post on the community forum, and if more and more people, I think if at least, 10 people definitely want us to be there, we'll be there.
Yeah. So Jim, if you have an event in mind, or if you can gather a group of folks, let us know. We would. I haven't been to Alabama in a really long time.
Yeah, but we'd love to go there. And and Jim, and this real time, he said, is there a plan to assist with the potential development of local groups? It's hard for you guys to know whether there are people in your surrounding area. I think that's a great idea. that we can totally, Jim, I think that's something that we can look into. We'll take a look at it and see.
I thought Birmingham was the big tech place in Alabama these days.
Yeah, see, now you're going to start like some flame war, Ben. You got to be careful.
Big flame war between Huntsville and Birmingham.
We definitely need that. Well, we got to go to Huntsville first. And Jim, Jim, thank you again for suggesting that. I think that's a great idea. We'll help you out with that. And I agree, when you're developing something, it's much better to have people around you face to face, person to person, sometimes sharing a beer and chips, while you're developing. I think it's really cool. And Mark has said, want to come to Melbourne. I'll try to find 9 other people. I mean, I think you may be, I'm just guessing, you may be the only Misty in that area, although we definitely want to sell more in that area.
No, we've got a good double-digit following in Australia. So
awesome.
They don't hang out on the East Coast.
So I'll volunteer for that one.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. I've never been to Australia. So Mark, you're gonna have to show us around Melbourne.
Yeah. If you find 10 people again, we'll definitely. Chris is offered and make that happen.
Oh man. All right. So any other questions in chat here? Python API. Philip's gonna update that one for all of us. Jim's gonna host us in Alabama. Mark's gonna host us in Melbourne.
I'm gonna take the Arduino backpack question.
Which one's that? Oh yeah, it just popped up.
Brand new. So, I mean, I don't have a lot of updated information. I can only tell you that it's most likely after the white and black robots ship, which, is happening now. Black robot plastic is being created now, and then those parts have to be turned around and put into the robot. So I think that there's just a sequencing issue with our manufacturer that we just wanted to keep it simple for them and not have them have to do too many SKUs. It'll be before the end of the year, I'd be willing to guess, but unfortunately, I don't know anything more specific than that.
Thanks, Ben, for answering that.
Yeah. So Justin, watch the forums. We'll update because it has been a very common question, and we'll make sure to let the community know as soon as we have more details.
Great.
And then Justin wanted to show one of the skills that utilizes the time of flight here.
Yeah, I talked about Mike Rodriguez, who's answering all questions of interest here, built an amazing skill. I wanted to give a sneak preview of it. I think he's okay with it, and I think he's going to post more hopefully on the community forum. So let me just share my screen.
Is that it?
Is
that mine?
Yeah,
that is mine. I didn't know I was sharing.
Screen here.
While you guys are doing that, I'm going to answer another question. So Gabriella asks, do you know when backers within the 300 to 400 range would get their robots? I can say that if you're in the US or Canada, that should be in the next few weeks. If you are outside of those two places, it will probably, it'll trail that. And I think that it'll probably be more like 4 to 6 weeks. But yeah, I know I'm on video being recorded maybe right now, but that's where I would guess that it's at. So yeah, I don't know if you are in US or Canada or international.
Yeah, so to clarify, this is not binding. We will update as we have information, both in the forums, and if you want specific information on your order, just go ahead and reach out to customer support, and we'll be able to give you a much more tightly defined answer.
Well, probably not still like the day, but yeah, within weeks.
It's better than weeks. Maybe. All right. Woo.
Yeah. So again, this is we encourage everybody to share their skills and build, because that's what we're here for. And if you have any roadblocks or questions, feel free to ask us. Something cool that Michael built. I'm going to talk a bit about it. Again, as you can see, it's mapping, but it's mapping using the time of flight sensors, and it's sort of painted surrounding what it's seeing. Again, really cool. You can see that sort of integrated into our command center, and again, very impressive, very exciting.
So Michael's done some pretty cool stuff, and that he's using the front and rear time of flight readings as a way to roughly flesh out the obstacles that the robot's seen.
Super cool.
So I love this mostly because it is super critical for us as developers to understand the way that these sensors operate. And this is such a great way for us to kind of internalize like where those work well and where they don't.
Yeah.
So that's the fundamental problem that we're all trying to solve is how can we make use of these devices in interesting ways, and where can we clarify, hey, you know what, this is an edge case, it's probably not going to work well because I can't see that 1 centimeter obstacle. So this is I just love this.
Super cool. I mean, again, we love everything you guys share. And thank you so much for being part of our community.
Yeah, I mean, I can't underscore that enough. Like, we basically share everything that you guys share with everyone in the company, and it just makes everyone's week or month to see that happening. So, yeah, that's the primary thing that we want to see is just you guys doing cool things and sharing them.
Yep.
Yeah. What? Let me try. Hey, great. Misty.
Okay, I think you're trying your skill.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer another while you're testing that. There's another question here from Gabriella. Do you know when?
I already answered that one.
Oh, we did answer that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thanks.
So we'll kind of end it there. So what I would love for everybody that joined us and everybody that watches this video after the fact, let us know what things that you want us to address. It's super helpful for us to create programming that you're going to be engaged with, and then gives us a chance to know where the zeitgeist is for robotics folks. Are people interested in utilizing robots? So let us know.
Yep. And we look forward to seeing you at one of our events in person sometime soon.
Cool.
Yeah. And releasing challenge missions.
Yes, challenge missions, community, talk to us. End of transaction. Transmission, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.